Episode 78, the Sooooo Not Funny Car. Bienvenidos and welcome to my channel. This episode, I finally pull another project from my to-do pile that I had started over a year ago. The Hot Wheels 71 Ford Mustang funny car called Something Funny. Once everything was apart, I hit all the bits with some spray-on primer and went to work creating my destruction. Just getting into Gaslands, I had passed over this cast many times because I was only looking for the futuristic cars. Thankfully, I came to my senses and added some real-world rigs into the mix. Now, I love this cast, and I have another one in my regular collection that won't be touched. There are actually two versions of this Hot Wheel, the regular mainline, which I'm using here, and the Super Treasure Hunt, which I have yet to see in the wild. The cast, 71 Ford Mustang funny car, was originally introduced in 2004 as part of the Auto Affinity Rebel Rods series. While the cast does not have a real-life counterpart, it is based on the 71 Ford Mustang. What makes a Super Treasure Hunt? Supers usually come with a shiny metallic paint job with the Treasure Hunt logo added and real rider wheels, just to name a few goodies. Thankfully, my life has not turned into a complete disarray from not finding one, but stay tuned, that could change. For obvious reasons, I left the factory paint alone. This also saved a bit of prep time, so double plus good. While Gaslands has rules for jet car dragsters, I built this one with performance car stats in mind. With the horsepower this beast was packing, it was definitely going to go faster than the average cars. I previously mentioned picking up some amazing Gaslands STL files from Warlock 3D, and I printed off the wheels, front ram, and flamethrower. I really like the look of these files, and I have been adding them to every model since I've got them. You can find a link to their website in the description. When I think of performance cars in Gaslands, I usually think of the Euro and Asian sports cars. But with the right setup, a good old-fashioned muscle car could leave them behind. Despite my obvious love for Camaros, I really do love the late 60s, early 70s Mustangs, and a 71 Boss is one of the leaders on my list of favorites. Because of the potential for a super treasure hunt is there, I have to admit my heart skips a beat every time I see one on the pegs. Since it was a 2025 super treasure hunt, I'm not holding out hope of finding one, but I do double check every time. While this cast comes with a monster engine, there was room for one more in front. More zoom zoom for the boom boom. Now there was enough room for another motor in front on the chassis. There wasn't much room under the hood for another monster without sacrificing the hood itself. Instead, I chose to cut down the top of the motor and then add an intake on the hood, lined up so that it kind of made sense. It wasn't 100% the best idea, but I think it looks pretty good. It's one thing to call yourself an artist, but when someone objective tells you that, it hits a little deeper. Most of my biggest fans are my friends and family, and I love them for that. But getting feedback from someone I don't talk to every day or say I love you to every night before bed, it carries a different weight. My recent adventures in public at some of the local conventions have gone better than I had imagined, and I am looking forward to doing more. My usual default is existential dread caused anxiety on the inside, and hey, how's it going? On the outside. Don't ask me how. Calm just happens when I'm in public. I guess it's a form of subconscious coping. Trying not to guess what people are thinking about my work is like trying not to think about a pink elephant. Oops, too late. Now, my main observation of the booth passers-by was a quick scan. Ooh, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Not Star Wars. I'm done. I'm not complaining, I found it funny. And a lot of those passers-by came back and actually had a closer look. Now, to be fair, we were right next to the lightsaber booth, and it's hard to compete with that shit. My good friend over at All Day Comics has asked me for my help with his Blue Lake Comic-Con booth at Blue Lake Casino in October. Mike will have his usual stash of comics, merch, and goodies available, with new finds added all the time. If you're looking for something specific and you can't wait, you can find a link to his eBay store in my description. When I'm not helping you pick out the perfect addition to your collection, I will be telling anyone who will listen about my channel and my work. I will be working on some new pieces that will only be available at the Blue Lake Comic Con, only adding them to my Etsy store if they don't find their way home to a new garage. If you haven't yet, hop over to the Etsy showroom and see what I have available right now. If you don't see anything you're after, you can message me with your ideas and we could talk about a custom vehicle. Someone did ask me about a Prius during the Forest Moon Festival. I've had too much on my plate for as long as I can remember, but I have a wonderful opportunity and it will keep me away from my Etsy store until July. While I'm unavailable, the store will be suspended, but don't worry, it will all return in early July. One of my other plans for July is to start a Gaslands Championship League for the Eureka Arcata area once Dandar's Board Games and Books reopens their forever home. Stay tuned for details on that. I started the project off with my usual Pro Acryl steel for most of the metal bits, starting with the front ram. Now this thing is massive, with giant spikes on the front. It's going to cause some insane damage on the track. I'm really happy with the fit between the ram and the vehicle, as you'll see in the end result. For the flamethrower that will be mounted at the front, I used a combination of metallic paint from both the Army Painter and Pro Kill lines. I wanted it to look like it was assembled from multiple weapons, and I think I pulled that off. The funny car frame was perfect for adding a gas tank on the back end. Now, with the tank right behind the driver, this piece would lend itself well to an Idris sponsored team. Some of the last pieces to be painted with steel were the wheels. I left the tires with matte black. Since I was using the stock paint job, it was on to the weatherization. I chose the rust spots carefully as I wanted to cover up certain copyrighted parts of the body without completely covering them up. I continued with the rust effects on the frame, front ram, windscreens, and wheels. Once the dark rust layer was dry, I went back over and highlighted areas with the fresh rust effects. With all the effects in place and dry, it was time to coat the bits with a matte varnish so I could add the final washes. Finally, the varnish had set and I went to working with the dark tone wash. Then it was on final assembly. Now you better not laugh at this funny car. Could be the last thing you do in the wasteland. With count 'em, two monster V8s under the hood and a flamethrower on top, meet effing hilarious. You can find this high-performance car in my Etsy showroom, and while you're there, have a look around and see if something else makes you smile. You can see behind-the-scenes photos and reels on my social media accounts. Look for links for Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had fun getting everything together for you. The easiest way to say you did is by hitting the like button. If you don't want to miss any future episodes, you can subscribe to my channel and keep up with my now weekly episodes. And while you're trying to come up with a clean joke, please to post in the comments. Don't forget, they ain't gonna paint themselves.